This track had a huge impact on the development of funk music, and because of its iconic groove, has been sampled by many hip-hop artists through the decades. What's the secret sauce that makes this track so funky? Well, on the surface, it seems like the band is highly synchronized, but when you zoom way in, you'll find that the instruments aren't perfectly lined up. In fact, there's a decent amount of space between them. This small rhythmic discrepancy is called a microrhythm, and in this video, we're going to examine the microrhythms of the song Cissy Strut to unlock the secret to its funky groove. And then I'll show you how you can apply this groove secret to your own songs and playing to make your music way funkier. Let's get started. I've always wondered what makes certain songs groove or feel funkier than other songs, and I've tried to write songs emulating the feel of artists like the Meters, James Brown, D'Angelo, but it never sounds quite right. So then I decided to analyze the grooves of these artists, and I discovered that these grooves were being held together by small but consistent deviations in rhythm between the instruments. These small deviations are called microrhythms and are what make tracks like this one so funky. I'm going to do a groove analysis of Cissy Strut. The goal of this analysis is to understand the consistent microrhythmic patterns of the groove. These patterns will give us a groove blueprint that we can apply to our own music. It's important to note that when you're analyzing human rhythms like these, there's going to be a fair amount of natural fluctuation from beat to beat. For simplicity, we're going to be filtering out some of that variation so that we can focus on the underlying consistent microrhythmic patterns. All right, we're going to do a groove analysis here. I've separated out the tracks. So I used the Moises.ai app to do that. I used the free version, so unfortunately I couldn't separate the guitar and organ parts here. But luckily they're panned to different sides of the stereo track, so you can see that the guitar waveform's on top and the organ waveform's on the bottom. I'm going to throw on flex time so that we can see the transient or the start of each note a little bit easier. I'm going to zoom in. You can see here each one of these notches up top is a 64th note. So from here to here is a single beat. All right, so that gives you an idea of how zoomed in we are. I have the speed of the track at negative 30% so we can hear it a little bit slower. I'm going to play the first two beats here. All right, so right out of the gate, you can see that the bass is coming in a little bit early, the guitar and the organ a little behind, and the drums are sort of lined up with that downbeat. It's going to be a little chaotic here because they're all trying to find the groove to start off with, so we're going to ignore this first beat and take a look at the second beat. So we can see a big snare hit and the drums, a bass note here coming in on the upbeat, pretty close to lining up with the grid here. And then we can see the guitar part is coming in almost a 64th note behind the upbeat. And then we can see right here, this last 16th note of beat 2, this is a cymbal hit, and it is a full 64th note behind the last 16th note of beat 2. So this could be an indication here that we're dealing with some type of swing. If it's about a 64th note behind, that's generally around a 60%, 16th note swing. So for reference, 50% swing would be straight, and a 66% swing would be like a triplet feel. And then moving on to beats 3 and 4 of measure 2, we'll play those real quick. All right, same thing. We still have like around 55 to 60% swing going on in the drums. The bass looks like it's being played behind the drums slightly here, and the guitar still on this part right here still looks like it's playing about a 64th note behind everyone, so pretty consistently behind the beat. And the organ looks like on the very bottom, it looks like the waveform's coming in slightly before the guitar part, so definitely delayed behind the beat, but maybe not as far. So this gives us a good starting point for our groove blueprint. So to try to boil down what I'm seeing here, I would say that the band is operating at like a 55 to 60% 16th note swing. and the drums are playing the most on top of the beat. The bass is generally like right behind the drums. The guitar is definitely the furthest back, generally around a 64th note behind where the drums are hitting. And then the organ part seems to be kind of ahead of the guitar part. So we kind of see all of these instruments operating and within like a 64th note of each other. So that sort of gives us an example of what the pocket looks like. So the drums are in the front of the pocket, the guitar is in the back of the pocket, and the other instruments in between. So why do we care about this? Well, if you want to emulate the feel of this track on some of your tracks and make your tracks funkier, then you could take this general blueprint and apply it to your tracks. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. The other thing you can do is, if you play one of these instruments, like the guitar, for example, you could practice playing a full 64th note behind a drum beat and recording yourself and checking to make sure that you're doing that consistently. And if you can do it consistently, that's going to help improve your feel for different microrhythms. All right, so now I'm going to show you how the groove blueprint can be applied to one of your tracks. So I just pulled up a Logic session, pulled in some Apple loops. I have a kit here. I have a bass loop, a guitar loop, and a clav loop. I couldn't find a good organ loop, but the clav's pretty funky. So we're going to just listen to what it sounds like just straight up as loops. Okay, pretty interesting. All the instruments sound decent together. So I copied all of these tracks exactly the same down below. And now we're going to do some work on them. We're going to adjust some of the rhythms to make it a little funkier. So I'm going to start with the drums. Okay, so I'm going to apply a little more swing. So we're going to go to somewhere between 55 and 60. So let's say 56. I'm going to simplify it just a hair too. Cool. All right, that sounds a little bit better. Now I'm going to add the bass in. Okay, I'm going to quantize the bass. I have flex time turned on to slicing, so I'm going to quantize the bass to about 60% 16-note swing. And I'm going to, just like in Cissy Strut, move this track back just a hair behind the drums. So we're going to go just a little bit. All right, we're going to listen to that. Okay, cool, getting funkier. And now I'm going to add the guitar part. All right, same thing, we're going to quantize that to this about the same as the bass. Okay, and I'm going to throw this one a little bit further back than the bass. We can see actually that this waveform starts a little late, so I'm going to start with it right around there to see what that sounds like. That feels pretty good. It might be a little late. Let's see if I can pull it up a hair. Okay, that feels pretty good. I'm going to bring in the clav. Same thing, I'm just going to quantize it. And then I'm going to put it right in front of, around where the guitar is. You can see this waveform starts a little bit before the guitar. So let's see what that sounds like. You can play around with the spacing of all these and kind of move them forward and backwards to find what really works for your track. I like that, it's pretty funky. Let's compare that to the previous version. Definitely more funky. Let's compare it to Cissy Strut and see if it feels similar to that. Obviously the sounds are very different. But it does have a similar groove, a similar pull or bounce to it. Now that you have a groove blueprint for Cissy Strut, try to apply these micro-rhythms to your own songs and playing. Also, let me know in the comments if there's a song that you would like me to do another groove analysis of. If you want to learn more about Groove in Pocket, check out my video about swung over straight rhythms here. Also, if you liked the video and would like to support me, please hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment, and share this video with a friend. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.